Greetings, everybody. Hello, Hilton. Last minute touches.
Welcome back from your international travels.
Thanks, brother. It was a good time. Saw some good football, weather. But now we're back to the grind, and the Coastal Boys is back. Today we are doing Fairview, which was on the turf, but due to all the rain, it is now back on the poly. And just remember, anyone who's having a bet tomorrow, just take cognizance of there'll be loads of scratchings. I will try and give you a few as we run along, but there will be more, I should imagine. Horses that are drawn bad and that don't really like the poly. We'll kick off in the first. Welcome to Nelson Mandela Bay Maiden Juvenile Plate for fillies. And the betting is supplied by soccershop.bet, first to price up in the week. 17 to 10 Eternal Spirit, 2 to 1 the newcomer Trickle Charge, 28 to 10 Wild Star, 8 to 1 and better the rest. Kick on, Hilt.
Thanks so much.
Away you go.
Thanks so much. So, yeah, at first glance, Andrew, this first time of Alan Krief's looks the right one on breeding Master of My Fate out of Rapid Charge by Give Me the Green Light. Quite an expensive horse, so not that means it's going to win. 550,000 Rand. Free book for the ride. Doesn't look the strongest field, so my gut feel, I don't know anything about the horse, but my gut feel is that that's the right one. But otherwise, the race is quite thin, in my opinion. I think the winner will come from Eternal Spirit, Wild Star, or obviously the first timer that we spoke about. But I'm not really overboard on anything, so I can't shed too much light on this race. Over to you.
Yeah, Krief boys normally get in early, and there's been not a cent for this horse so far. I haven't listened to his podcast, but he will tell you. I think it's quite an interesting race. Number 1, American Petal from the Cotton Yard was backed like a good thing on debut, but failed to finish the race. But I do prefer the other one in the race. I do think it's a 2-horse race of the run horses that have run. Eternal Spirit, first time on the poly. Craig Zaki, third time on this horse. Has run in 2 decent races behind Casperita and Marchland, who we think is probably one of the better juveniles in Quebec. But my first pick in the race will be number 9, Wild Star from the Sharon Cotton Yard. Chase Marjan on board, drawn for a decent enough debut on the poly for first start. Then has been running on the turf. Back to the poly. I don't think it should be an issue. And I think it'll probably be Wild Star and Eternal Spirit, and take cognizance if there's any money for the first timer from the Krief Yard for Trickle Charge, number 7, Richard Ferry on board. Nice to see Van der Vendel, Job Van der Vendel, the Civils back in in racing. They seem to have purchased quite a few horses. Colours that have been missing for quite a while. We move on to race 2, which is racing today, maiden plate over 1,200 meters. Turbulent, 16 to 10. 33 to 10, Eugenius. 4 to 1, the first timer, Rush Green. 5 to 1, Here Comes Johnny. 14 to 1, and better. There are already 6 scratchings in this race. Take note, number 6, Elysian Bow won't go. Number 7, Pretty Boy won't go. Number 15, Peace Treaty won't go. Number 16, Anushka's Light won't go. Number 18, Sound of Symphonies won't go. And the reserve, number 20, Shooting Arrow won't go. I put this horse as one of my each-way bets on the day. It's now coming to 33 to 10. I think it will be a free bet. It's number 5, Eugenius, from the Jean Nelliard. Little Rise, drawn 4. 2 decent runs so far. I mean, first time in Quebec, but solid enough runs in Cape Town. I think if he goes on the poly, I thought he was a free each-way bet. I still believe he's a good bet, Eugenius. We've spoken about this horse before. The problem I have with the favourite is it's drawn very badly, number 1, Turbulent, drawn 16. It will come in from that. He's had 2 cracking runs on the poly, but I was really worried about the draw. And now the draw is semi-negated because there are 6 scratchings. But I still think it's going to be a wide draw for Craig Zaki to negate. And even though 2 decent runs, a third and a second, they would be happy that it's on the poly other than the draw. I think that is probably the main danger to number 5, Eugenius, both from the racing, the colour of Hollywood Racing. Second favourite is the first timer, again, from the Alan Krief Yard, with with Richard Ferry on board for ASM Racing, drawn 9, again, there's been no money for that. So, and the rest, here comes Johnny, has flattered to deceive on occasions. Also drawn wide. Carl Stradham takes a ride. He's had 4 thirds in a row, been a bit costly to follow. And also first time on a poly. Might enjoy the poly. It does race handy, so maybe able to negate the draw, but I wouldn't be rushing into the 4-1 that. Now my colours to the mast. I do like Eugenius each way. I think he's a free each way bet. I did think he would be a bit bigger, but the price has contracted due to the 6 scratchings. Away you go, Hilt.
Yeah, thanks, Henry. Yeah, I've got to agree with you, Eugenius. I mean, I thought he would have been good enough to win in Cape Town. He's run close up a couple of starts, and actually liked him. I think I liked him in Cape Town once or twice, or at least once. So John Nell's stable firing got the draw. Obviously, the only question being the poly track. But yeah, I make it a race in 2, Turbulent and Eugenius. I can't really separate them. I know Turbulent's coming from a touch wide gate, but he's got the speed, so I don't see that as a problem. And he's been difficult to settle and led, so he's gonna be getting a posse. So I'm not too worried about that. It's just a question of I can't really split them. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a punting race. Put it that way. And obviously, the first time was the unknown quantity, very well bred. You got to respect that horse. And other than that, yeah, I don't see anything else winning.
As I said, I've known my colours to mast. I do think Turbulent has solid form, but so has Here Come Johnny. And I really not negated them because of their draws. They will come in a bit, but still, I think the draw will be with Eugenius getting a low draw and also likes to race handy. I think Chad Little can probably steal this race. But we move on to race number 3. We have Play Soccer 6, 10 and 13 maiden plate. We step up to 1,600 meters. The betting is as such. 5-2 Greenpoint, 3-1 Indestructible, 9-2 60-0, 5-1 Bugle Boy, 6-1 Straight Red, 7-1 Nakajima, 14-1 and better the rest.
Yeah, Andrew, thanks for the betting. Thanks to Lance Michael for the pricing. I like the look of this horse, Indestructible. Yeah, Andrew, it's got the improving factor look to it. Previous start drawn 14 out of 14. Then drawn like 4 out of 13, a much better run, only beaten 4 lengths. But again, I can't go wild. Yeah, 1,600 will be more to its liking. And then obviously you got to respect the other horses in the betting. Greenpoint 60-0, but it's very difficult. 60-0 has been knocking on the door for a while. I see they putting the blinkers on, so that could improve him. And then obviously Greenpoint, Chad Little takes a ride, only beats him 1.5 lengths last time, so that's the other protagonist. But I'm leaning towards this horse, Indestructible, obviously assuming he acts on the poly, but I think he's got the form to go close, but it's not a betting race for me. Over to you.
Yeah, I think even though it's a small field, I think it's a very difficult race and very competitive. 60-0 is the one that I even though finished well last time, had the apprentice on. A couple of his horses ran behind him, Mamson, Texas, and even he's worse at the weights now. So even though making late progress, not for me. Indestructible, stable hasn't got too many horses. I'd like to see them win before I could be following them. Done nothing wrong in his 3 runs, has improved every start. I think he should be up there. Even though Anne got bumped last start, if goes on the poly, I think will be a big runner. A Bugle came from the clouds last time. Blinkers are on again. A Mamson, Texas run again. Also, but out at the weights. Greenpoint, they left the money on the table last time. They backed it like it was no race. Went to the front. Parachute came out at the last 100. And they're all running on paper. They should all run very close again behind the Mamson, Texas run. I found a little squeaker here that I think will run a big race that has switched back to poly. Number 1, Nakajima. Charles and Louisville on board. Ran behind Devo Mondo, who's running in the race 2, so we can see if that form is franked. I'm forgiving the run over the 1,600. He's coughing. There was a stirrup rub. Last start was a much better start. Took off over the 1,300. And I think it was a nice each-way price. We'll probably get double figures. Only had 3 starts, and his best run to date has been on the poly. I think he'll be a big runner, number 1, Nakajima. And one we've mentioned a few times, Leif Erikson, Flat to deceive plenty of occasions. They've backed it on a few occasions as well. Another one that could pop up in the back end of trifectas and quartets. But I think in the Trappy race, I agree with you that it's hard to choose an outright winner. That's why I'd be having an each way bet on number 1, Makajima 4.
And moving on to race 4.
That is correct. You're awake. Where are we? It is the TAB 4 Racing app, maiden plate for the girls, fillies and mares over 1,600 meters. Betting is as such. 14 to 10 Alakazam, 3 to 1 O'Mandy, 7 to 2 Blue Dame, 6 to 1 Witching Hour, 7 to 1 One Summer. Write your own ticket the rest. Take note of an important scratching, number 1, Champagne Blaze. Does not run. They scratched it last time. They switched it from the turf to the poly, and they've done exactly the same thing. When I see Mandy's second favourite at 3 to 1, I know it is a weak race. And I'm not going to waste my time, and I'm going to go straight to it. I think the Career Force will win. Alakazam for ASM Racing, Richard Ferry on board, has improved every single time. 2 places on the poly. We are now back on the poly. He does lose it at the start a little bit, but there's enough pace in the race to negate that. And my first pick is Alakazam. Mandy, ultra consistent, play schedule of note, but I'm going to give that a swerve. I've never caught that horse right. So straight up, I like Alakazam. That'll be my first pick in the race.
I've got to agree with you. I'm going to keep it short and sweet as well. I was actually close to making Alakazam my best bet on the card, but I think this horse will be actually very hard to beat now that the other horse came out, Champagne. Also short and sweet. I prefer the mile. Very hard to beat. Decent draw to get a posse. Bad field. And this horse actually on the canter down, the last 2 starts didn't look too bad. It's not a bad individual, and I think good enough to win, yeah. So that's my opinion as well.
And my roughly for the trifectas also I think can improve is number 4, One Summer. Drawn one run on the poly, which was a bit disappointing, but as in previous form earlier had 2 places on the poly, but his last run was a very disappointing track. But I think he's one that could pop up in the back end of quartets and trifectas, number 4, One Summer. But straight up, for me, I think Alakazam hard to beat. We move on to race 5 at tabracing.com. FM80 handicap for fillies and mares, 1,400 meters or 7 furlongs. 2 to 1, Too Late My Mate. 4 to 1 One Dance, 6 to 1 Captain's Jet, 7 to 1 Arabian Red, 9 to 1 DuPont Emerald and Hazen Smoke. Write your own ticket, the rest. Number 3, a non-runner, Mountain Up.
Okay, are you okay, Andrew? We're going to have to get the vet to check you before you race.
I think I might have to get some water in a bit.
Yeah. This is another tricky race, Andrew, for the main reason that I have made Too Late My Mate my best bet on the card. But obviously it becomes a little tricky, the fact that it's not on the turf, it's on the poly. But I'm still going to stick with the courage of my convictions. I think she's good enough to win here. It's not the strongest field. She's got decent form in Joburg. I really like that last run to Into Dancing. That was an excellent run. 3 lengths, pretty persuasive. Sure, you can't really fault this horse. And going down to Port Elizabeth, I would imagine she's good enough to beat this lot. So I'm gonna stick with this short and sweet, and I make the danger One Dance from the Kelly Mitchley stable. So obviously got a chance to be in the shake-up, but I think Too Late My Mate will get the better of this field.
Yep, you've made it your best bet. I think it's a much deeper race than that. Will she like the poly? That's one of the first questions. How she come down from Gauteng? Craig Zaki does right. She probably has the best form in the race behind Streisand, Hong Kong, Paul Revere even. But I think there are quite a few runners here. Like you said, One Dance, 3 places on the 3 starts, and the poly has the apprentice back on board. Was a bit unlucky last time, got eased at the 200-meter mark behind Danish Dynamite. Coming to form, I think a big runner. Hazen Smoke, 3 lengths behind Klainsey last time, over the 1,600. I think the 1,400 will suit. I think the stable do think that it needs further. I think another runner. And the one that I'm throwing in the trifectas and quartets and might have an each-way bet is DuPont Emerald with Charlie and Louisville on board. 1 over 1,300 last time. Came from the clouds, beat Honorines Gimme on the poly. I think the step up of 100 meters extra. will suit. Even though I only won a claiming race last time, I think must have an outstanding chance of running a big race again. As saying Zolo van Rensburg on board for the Miller Yard, number 7, over 1,300 Rand behind Genevieve, when also came from miles off them last time. Seems to enjoy the poly. Would have been interesting was the first run on the turf, and they kept it, and now I've switched to the poly. Another one that I think will be there and thereabouts. Otherwise, and a real roughie, if you're looking for something for the real back end of trifectas and quartets. I know it's your best bet. I think I've found so many runners here. I couldn't be piling into it, I'm afraid. Even include number 11 in Zama. Kendall Mini for the Cruyff Yard. Blinkers on. There's 1 or 2 runs that he's run decent races behind England Park Beat when he won, behind Hayes and Smoke. So they're very close on form. Good luck with your knack for the day. But I think there are other runners, and I would be able to small bet on DuPont Emerald each way, but in a very, very tricky race. Good luck.
Okay, moving on to race 6.
The Racing 240 Pinnacle Stakes. Distance has been reduced from 2,400 meters to 2,200 meters. Probably the best race on the day, the classiest field on the day, and the betting is as such. Even money, bad medicine. 28-10 Bournemouth, 9-2 Home Reef, 7-1 Anatolian Silver, 8-1 Juan Carlos, 11-1 Kiwika, and write your own ticket 20 drachmas. My best bet on the day, Andrew's Arrows, going for 5 in a row, done nothing wrong, bad medicine. I think will set the fractions and be hard to beat. I know there are runners that run close to it. Juan Carlos on form has actually holds bad medicine on the one run, but they run on the grass and not on paper. And Juan Carlos, I'm not sure, will enjoy the poly. Bournemouth, probably one of the better horses in the race, hasn't won for a long time. Classy act. I think he's only as short because Richard Favi's riding for the Cruyff Yard. And if there is a danger, I think it'll be number 4 Home Reef with Chase Marjan on board. Also quite close in a few of these distance races. Solid enough form. But I think bad medicine, you don't see it too often. I think we'll win 5 in a row.
Yeah, I agreed, Andrew. I'm also going to keep it short and sweet here this race. He's very hard to beat. He'll get the run of the race. I like the fact that he's a touch back in trip. They only got to him very late last time. So I also make the only danger Home Reef. This Bournemouth is a bit of an enigma. I think he's gone backwards. So, he's a difficult horse to know when he's going to spring up. But obviously, if he springs up, he could be a problem. But I actually think he needs a touch further. Anyway, his last run especially was a shocker. So, and it was on the poly, so he's got no excuse. And I actually think bad medicine prefers the poly track. So for me, the bear also very strong, hard to beat. Moving on to race
7. Swiftly along. You can bet on us, merit rated 78 handicap, back to 1,200 meters. The betting is as such. Can you dance? Quite aptly, Mr. 2-1. 3-1 detailed forecast. 7-1 One Too Many. 7-1 Rhythm. 9-1 Strange Magic. 12-1 Dascoot. Number 15 Pomodoro Magic. Not a runner. The rest you can write your own ticket.
Yeah, very, very tricky race, Andrew. My selection's going to be a little bit of a lurker here. I think this horse number, where's this? Sorry, I just went past it. Number 8, Villa Vicosa. Having come from NJ Woodendal, wasn't a bad horse here in Durban. Assuming it won't need the run too much, he won't need the run too much. Got the claimer on. I think this horse is due to run a cracker. Loves the poly, so there's no problem there. Obviously, it could be a touch sharp, but I'm not really overboard on anything in the race. I think this is a nice each-way lurker. But it's a very tricky race. When I say a lurker, I don't mean put the kitchen sink on. It's a very tough race. I can't really get excited about anything. Obviously, you've got to look at the top of the board and say, Can You Dance has got a chance. Detail Forecast has got a chance. One Too Many's got a chance. Rhythm's been in good form. But and Burning Man, I think, is a little bit overpriced at 16-1. He's a horse that can gallop on his day. His stable's really well. And I like the fact that they brought him back to 1,200. Maybe they've just been... John probably feels they've been going a touch far. And they're putting the tongue tie on. So I would respect Burning Man. Over to you.
Interesting race. I think the favourite has got an outstanding chance. I know I listened to a voice note. He was very forward on this horse. He thought it had done nothing wrong. And discussing with the owner launch yesterday, we both think can win, but we did think the price was a bit short. It has drifted a little bit. It was 18 to 10 yesterday. It's gone out a little bit. Last run was behind a horse called Captain Selby, and Captain Selby came out today and won. Won quite convincingly. If takes to the Poly, as it's its first run in Quebec and the first run in the Poly, I think will probably be the horse to beat. The second favourite, Detailed Forecast, there are horses around it. Has done nothing wrong. 2 runs there for a second and a first on the Poly. Richard Rise, a slight bad draw at Stallgate number 10, which is a bit of a negative. I think must have a chance, but there are horses that have run with this horse and actually hold it on the weights. I think the race will be set up by number 3, Rhythm, stable companion to the favourite 1 Dance, the last dance. Use our Rams and rides, Stallgate 1, knows only one way. To the front boot, away you go. As they jump, he skates. He beat T-Rex, and then T-Rex came to beat him the next time. Change of jockey, no more apprentice. Now has User Ramsden on board. I think he'll be leading and probably set it up for Can You Dance. But I found a lurker at a big price, one of my each-way bets. I know my friends tell me I'm mad when I said I like this. I like number 13, Piton de Nuge. Stallone Naidu, Stallgate number 4. For giving its last run over the 1,000, back to the 1,200, ran a half a length behind a Yui. I think the pace is going to be hot. I think he's going to sit probably just off them. He's got a nice draw today. Last 2 starts, he had 2 ugly draws. And I think he'll be running on late. Those green colours will be flashing. Duncan had a winner last week. Let's hope he can have another winner this week. But good luck, Lawrence. I hope your horse runs big. I do think that the stable do like it a lot. But I do think there are other runners, and I think if you like the favourite, wait a little bit. I think you might get a better price. I think Detailed Forecast will drift. 1, and then they're betting 7-1 bar. 1 too many consistent, but not today for me. You found a roughie, I found a roughie, and the pace will be set up by Rhythm. The race will be set up by Rhythm. We've got the closers, and that's what we see. That's how I see the race.
Pressing on to race 8.
Race number 8. Next Fairview race meeting, Friday the 5th of June, merit rated 80 handicap over 1,600 metres. 2-1 Wild Fig, 5-2 Inganquile, 5-1 Above the Horizon, 7-1 Johnny Drama and Stokesy, 12s and better the rest. I think the favourite number 9 Wild Fig is the wrong price at 2-1. I think will start much bigger. For me, Inganquile has got a massive chance. I nearly made it my Andrew's arrow on the day. Menta El Manu last start over the 1,600 course and distance. That was previous run over course and distance. That next time was on the turf, 1 on the turf. Drawn 2 has got all the positives. I'm not a fan of the favourite, as I've said. I'm not a fan of Johnny Drama. Drawn 15. Very hard to negate the 1,600, even though running on last start behind Laguna Verde. Wild Fig, flattest to deceive. Hasn't won for 315 days. Ultra consistent. Has been running in stronger behind Sylvan Mistress and another dance for me. But I couldn't be taking that price. And the roughie that I found, I think will run a big race, is number 15, Nightjar, just behind Clainsy last start. And T-Rex over 1,200, back to 1,600 metres. I think they're looking for the trip. They've brought this horse nicely along, run a couple of races in Durban, your neck of the woods, 52.5. Nightjar, I think the main day, and each way bet, back at Trifectas and Quartets. And probably only, I think Inganquile the horse to beat with Nightjar at place. What are your thoughts, brother?
Yeah, also a very tricky race, Andrew. I've got to lean towards Inganquile. And I also like the source Johnny Drama, but he's drawn a bit deep, and I'm not too sure how he's going to go on the Poly. But yeah, we've got another testing race. These races are not easy, but he did run a good race last time on the Poly. I was just checking it. That was the meeting that was switched to the Poly where I liked him last time. So I like the fact that they put the headgear on the blinkers. So for me, it's Johnny Drama, or I'm leaning towards this number 2, Inganquile, with Marco van Rensburg. The stable's well. I know he's carrying pudding, but he's run well on the poly, and he's well in this race in terms of his ability. So that would be my first choice, but not an easy race to get involved.
I disagree. I think this is a nice race. The only drama I can't have, but drawn 15, even though there are 5 scratching, which I probably failed to mention. Player number 5, non-runner. 10, Action American, non-runner. Ichaka, number 11, a non-runner. Coral Creek, number 12, non-runner. And Hoodwink, number 14, non-runner. So there are 5 scratchings. Will come in a bit, but I still think a very bad draw. And I couldn't be rushing in at 7-1 that. The other one we haven't mentioned is Above the Horizon from the Sharon Kotzen ride, Chase Mojan rides. Has been running in quite solid features behind Sylvan Mistress, but is held by Ingen Quile when they met the last time over in the Merit rated 68. I think the Poly is probably the better track for Above the Horizon. But I thought, I nearly made this Andrew's error. Ingen Quile, thought, as I said earlier, the trifecta horse for me would be number 15. That's Fairview done and dusted. We have another podcast coming up. We're going to be doing the Kenilworth meeting for Sunday. But everyone, play well, stay safe, and be lucky.
Thanks, Andrew.